Dr. Sullivan Phillips, you have been very vocal of late, spreading your message of life experiences and just how your life has developed through the sport of basketball and socially. Give us some insight as to why it is important for you to share your message.
Earl, honestly, I just think that if you don't share the information, shame on you, especially the true parts that people don't really talk about. So lately, what I've done is gone on a quest to basically expose lies, especially associated with sport, and promote more information that links to truth and betterment of sport. So basically what we've done is we said we'll do a webinar while we're in quarantine each week and bring on coaches and we'll bring on students and we'll let them ask questions, like find out what's really real. Because unfortunately, if you don't find out from a true source, you get the fake, and then now you live in that world.
You've got a captured audience now. No one's got other things to do. So it is delivering this message of what truth about in sports, out of sports is all about.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect time to share it because people, even though you have a job, even though you have a life or you have things to do, you're less distracted and you're more open to listen to different information now because you're not bombarded with the normal day-to-day what we used to know. But the reality is, I think it's no better time. I think I was sharing it when you were able to physically go. But now I think even with the technology that we have, it makes it even better to share it at a broader spectrum.
Yeah. Take us back to when you first started your international career. When I say international career, playing overseas. Take us back to those what it was like for you personally to go through what you had to go through to prove that you deserve to be on certain teams.
Yeah, it's the most trying times. You're literally leaving comfort to go to question marks. You don't know if you'll keep the job. You don't know if the coach will like you. You don't know if they'll pay you. You don't know anything. All you have is a contract that says this is what you'll get. So it's a lot, and it's a growing up phase that happens immediately. And unfortunately, in some of these countries, go ahead, Earl. I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
And unfortunately, the reality is the lessons are learned when you get there. Nobody tells you usually about it beforehand. And so, for me, it was rough at first. Like, it's rough. Even though you're in a country that speaks English, it's different. Like, it's not the same. Like, you can't go to McDonald's. McDonald's is different in English. It's not the same. Burger King or anywhere else is different. You can't find the local things that you're accustomed to. If you want codfish and potatoes, I don't think you're going to find that unless you go deep into Brixton or somewhere, and then that could not be the right area for you to be at. So it's a lot of adjustment and a lot of you having to understand the reality that the world's different.
Sullivan, when you look at after your first experience and you wanted to continue on, what goes through your mind because you want to make sure that your first experience or your next experience isn't as bad as that first one?
Honestly, or I wasn't mature enough. It took me 6 years to really stop and say, why do you keep ending up in similar jobs or similar situations? So a lot of people don't take accountability to their actions. But at year 6, I stopped and said, this is enough, man. Like, you're doing the same thing. Like, you're getting the same contract. You're coming and fighting at the end. All these things start to play up. And I think for a lot of people, it's a matter of when you get fed up as opposed to looking literally at the situation and saying, like, this doesn't work. Like, I want better, but how do I get better? And then that comes back to what we're doing now is we're saying to student athletes or coaches, or people who's trying to be a professional athlete, like, bro, you want to play professional sports? Cool. Put down Instagram and get in the gym. Or stop talking so much on social media and start showing what you do, as opposed to, what people are caught up in now. So it took me 6 years to figure it out.
When you start to then realize your value, how do you then picture yourself? Because obviously you weren't looking at yourself those years prior, but when you did stop, you tend to look at yourself a little different. So how did you view yourself at that 6 year mark when you put that pause in?
Honestly, Earl, the biggest thing for me was you look at the clock now. Because now you say the luxury is over, bro. Like you only have a certain amount of time where this is over. What do you have? What have you saved? What reputation do you have? What kind of job can you get? And then lastly, it's like, how long can you do this? And you really have to take stock and say, wow, like I'm 20 some years old. Like this is crazy. And then you look at your attributes and say, okay, what can I do to get the job that I want? And I had to look and I had to say, okay, I play defense better than most people. And then you attack that and you step into that role and you embody it. But I don't think a lot of people really understand that, like taking a role, understanding what they're good at, and then maximizing it on a year-to-year basis.
When they say stepping in between the lines, that's actually actual play court or football field, whatever you want to use it as. How much different is it from amateur to professional inside the lines?
Light years. The pace, the movement, the speed, and the speed, not just in between the lines on the court, but in between the lines of working as far as getting contracts or knowing what to look out for and what not to. Because these same teams, when you go to a big team or you're playing in Europe and you got two different type of contracts, if you don't write it correctly, you might not get that bonus at the end of the year because of one technicality. The same thing in the game. Where you're in college, you're allowed to make one or two mistakes and then you can figure it out. You do that as a professional, you didn't just give up 2 points, you just gave up 30 because you gave like the best scorer in the league a hot start. And now and it's no cooling him off because you're in his gym. And it's the playoffs and your money's on the line. So it's light years different. But, I tell a lot of people, if you prepare yourself like as an amateur and get your mind somewhat ready, but you're never ready, Earl. Like it's no difference than experience. Like you're playing in college and I'm like, oh, this is easy. My first game in Europe, I was like, wow, this guy looked like a scrub when we were warming up and now he is cooking. And there's no way to stop him. I'm doing all the tricks I used in college, but it doesn't work because this is a grown man who's already established what he does. And he's going home to his wife, his kids. He's come back to work and do the same thing every single day. And I'm not in that rhythm. So in between the lines, it's way quicker. And you have to get it on the fly.
What are some of the questions so far in your webinar that has kind of surprised you or raised your eyebrows as, wow, I didn't think someone would be thinking along those lines just yet?
Honestly, I think that one of the really interesting questions was one of the players reached out to one of our players on there and was like, why do you keep doing it? Like, why? Like, I enjoy it for the game, but my parents are saying scholarships. My parents are saying you could do this. And I'm saying, I'm not interested. I just like playing for what it is. Why do you keep going? And to be honest with you, Earl, I didn't understand that. That makes no sense to me because the competitive person I am, I play for a reason, to win. That's what I play for. But to hear that to me was the most interesting question. But the interesting answer she gave was like, she basically told the other student athlete, like, you have to find out, like, is this for you or is it not? And if it's not for you, you have to figure out what is for you because you're wasting time. Again, you on the clock. Even as a younger person, like there's a space where you can master your craft and move to the next level. And if you don't, the laws of life are somebody else has mastered and taken your spot.
How important is it that the message that you guys are spreading for youngsters to understand that talent won't get you there alone? You have to be willing to listen and learn.
Talent only gets you in the conversation. Oh, no. Talent only gets you somewhat to the table. To stay there and eat, work ethic, diligence, discipline. I tell people all the time, discipline. It's the people who are disciplined who stay at the table. And they not only stay at the table, they advance and get closer to the head of the table. And, we try to preach it all the time, but sometimes I find that it's just life lessons that people have to go through, especially this generation. They like to figure it out on their own. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And it's unfortunate, but the reality is Talent only gets you to the table. But once you get to the table, especially in sports, it's billions of other people who are just at the same. Now, what separates the two of you? It's usually discipline. Like I said, the first game, this guy, now mind you, Earl, the second time we played against the same guy from Portugal, I gave him that business. I was like, oh, no, I'm a vet now. Now I know the tricks of the trade. But at the beginning, because I hadn't been disciplined on certain things that were on our scouting report that told me about him, and I was like, he's a scrub. Like, I can get away with it. So that to me is like the important message we're trying to share is, your talent will get you to the table, but your discipline will keep you at the table. Because there's millions of guys who get jobs and they only get it for 1 year and they never get a job again.
The series of Jordan is been going on ESPN and all over for the last few weeks. And one of the things that I take the most out of is his training method, his ability to want to train and get better, not just for himself, but to make sure that his opponents were always a step behind. Is that something that players should be looking at? How these guys who make it work off the court in order to make sure that once they're on the court, everything is just a familiarity of doing a layup, of shooting a three, of defense.
Anyone who's great, you only get to see it in limelight. But their true greatness is what's done behind the scenes. When you look at that documentary closely, when you see Michael Jordan had been 180 pounds for his whole career in college or whatever, whatnot, he went and said, no, we're all going to hit the weight room. We're not taking a stomach break. We're all going, like that discipline to go and put on weight, discipline to understand how to carry that weight, and then now discipline to hold everybody else accountable and grab them and take them along. It kind of goes back to that same thing we were talking about before, that, talent will get you in the conversation. It'll get you to the table. But that discipline took him over the top. Now it's that extra piece. Now when he got that extra weight, now he was like, nobody can stop me. There's nothing you can do now. Now I figured out the code. So it's almost like now I'm at the table and now I'm passing people to get to the head of the table because now I figured out what the code is for me. And I think a lot of players and a lot of young guys don't understand what the code is for them. And it's okay to mimic people. I think it is a very good thing to look at people and find their techniques and strategies. But I think most people, it's tailor-made for you. Kobe did everything like Mike, but he wasn't just like Mike. He had his own way. So I think you have to find your own way, especially in sport. But man, did you see how disciplined he was? He told everybody, nobody's having the summer off. We're all going into the gym and we're all going to get better and we're going to beat them. And we're not only going to beat them, we're going to beat them so bad that they think the next time they play us, they know they can't beat us anymore. And that's that next level.
When you're out public speaking and doing what you do now, are you looking in people's eyes to see if you can capture that glisten, that glow of, I really need to listen to this guy a little more?
No. It's my job to share the truth. It's up to you if you want to take it or not. I can't force anybody. I mean, of course, you want to captivate kids' attention. You want to share with them. But the truth of the matter is, I'm just going to tell you the truth. If you want to listen to it, good for you. If my dad used to always tell me, it's one of the only things he told me I probably would listen to was, a fool mirrors another fool's mistakes. A wise man learns from it. So if you want to be smart, you're going to figure out. I'm telling you, like, I wasted money on drugs, alcohol, chasing women, doing all this crazy stuff. If you want to do the same thing just because it looks good on Instagram, then you want to be a fool. You want to learn the way I did, that's your business. I'm not here to change your life, but what I am here is to share a truth with you. And if you're really interested in changing your life, you'll listen. If not, you'll go down the same road. And it's not my fault because I told you the truth.
The inspiration that I've watched a few of your messages on Facebook. You're not just speaking to basketball. You're speaking to life. You're talking about anybody in any sport not to go down that similar road, and to when you get to that point in the road, stop and think. Is that what you're trying to get across?
The point is, Earl, if you're playing sports or you're doing life, there's always a moral crossroad that you're going to have to take. The people who make it far take the right road. Don't get it twisted. You can take the right road and take a wrong turn later. Mm-hmm. Don't get it twisted. You can still do something right and then go down the road and do something messed up your projected greatness. But I tell people like, yo, it's going to be a crossroad. What are you going to do when you get to the crossroad? Like, because you can be cool now. You can be a Christian. You go to church every week. You can be baptized. You can be all this. But it's a different life when somebody throws you money you've never seen before, or it's a person, like a woman or a female or a man, whatever you are, a female athlete or a male athlete, and you've never seen somebody that's attractive before. What do you do then? Do you stand by your morals? It's always a crossroad. And the crossroad is where you see greatness and when you see average. Like, I'll follow what's normal because I've never had it, or I have a goal. I have a trajectory for my life. And my whole message, Earl, is truth. I'm not trying to water it down. I'm not trying to tell you anything other than the truth. But you're going to come to that point in place where you're going to have to be honest with yourself. And the decision you make is your truth. It's now your truth.
What are some of the misconceptions of professional sports? In the sense that people watch it on television or watch it online and they have this false sense of what it is.
Well, I say for me in Europe, that it's an easy life. It's not. You wake up in the morning in a place you don't even know where you are, and you gotta figure out how to go to a practice facility every day. You can't be late or you get fined. When I played in Hungary, Earl, my coach spoke no English. So I literally lived on a board. Like, I watched him draw everything. That's not easy. If I make a mistake and I'm the highest paid player, who gets penalized? Who gets sent home first? Me. So there's a misconception like it's an easy life, it's a high life, it's a lot of nice things, but it's more work than people think. You go and you practice in the morning. When I played in Hungary, he was like, "No, you're the best player, and I want you to be the best player in the league. So when everybody else finishes practice, I want you to shoot, and then I want you don't like lifting weights? All right, do 350 push-ups a day." And I want, by the end of the year or by Christmas mark, I want you to be up to 500 push-ups and 1,000 sit-ups. Who does that? But I can tell you, when I played that first year in Hungary, like that first half of the year, I was in the best shape of my life. But people don't know that. They only look at the game and they see what they see. You see LeBron at 9 o'clock at night, but you have no idea what he does in between that time. Like, he's going on trips and he's telling his family, like, listen, I can't go out until I get my workout in. Same thing with Kobe, 5 a.m., up, shooting, and then taking his kids and his wife to Disney, then going back to the gym, shooting, and 5 o'clock in the morning again. Like, that's the discipline behind it. But people don't see that. They only see, oh, he wears Gucci and Louis. Like, he's living a life. So it's a very big misconception, I believe, but,
Looking at the college game, and then looking at the professional game in the sport of basketball, what's the significant difference? Because you see guys get drafted and some guys go right into a team, others spend time, down on the bench and then work their way into the team. But how do the two games, or how do the two games kind of mirror each other in the sense of pace and just ability?
I think the biggest mirror they both have is pecking order. It all depends on how you come in and what team you come in on. And that can ultimately, and the coach. Depending on the coach and the system and if it suits you or whatever. Now, look at Michael Jordan, the first guy Dean Smith ever started as a freshman. It's a coach, it's a system. Everything can be that mirror if you have it lined up. Look at Kawhi Leonard. He went to San Antonio Spurs. He was only a defensive player, but as he grew with Coach Popovich gave him more reign, groomed him. Now he's what? $40 million in the bank. So to me, it mirrors each other in a sense where there's a pecking order. Sometimes some guys come in like Zion Williams and they get the ball. They get to do whatever they want. That's a misconception. Most people will not get that opportunity. You'll come into a situation or a team, or it doesn't matter what sports it's in. There's guys who've been there before you that are better than you. And now you have to work on your skill to match up to that level. So I think that's the biggest thing. Honestly, the pace, it will be the only equation I could do it to is like coming from high school and then going to college. The pace is crazy. Like you're like, oh my goodness. Well, it's the same thing when you go pro because the pace of the game, you're looking at film and it's like, oh, it's not that bad. But when you get out there, it's like, oh my goodness, this thing is like a rat race. Like, and you have to get adjusted to the flow of the game on the fly. So those things mirror.
A lot of people are stunned or amazed by the sizes of the crowds that go to professional sports, especially in the U.S., football in the U.K. When playing in front of the crowds in Hungary and other places around Europe that you played in, are they that passionate as well?
Yeah, crazy. Just think about it. It's almost like you live in St. David's, right? And the only thing that's going on this weekend is the league. So everybody in St. David's who likes football or is interested is going to the game. Well, most of these towns in Europe are like that. This is what they're living for. This week, you're our team. We're coming to support you. Like when I played in Slovakia, never was there ever a game that wasn't sold out. Never. Every single game, wall to wall, fans crazy, the whole nine. Because this is what they live for. They come to the game. So it's interesting to see because people have that misconception it's only in the States. It's not. Now we played a game in Europe. I think when I played in Birmingham, we played in Greece, and the gym was absolutely crazy. Like they were throwing tomatoes, like it was beyond passionate. So it's not just the States. I think the States, what it is it's the ambiance of it all. You know what I mean? They're socially equipped. They got everything you could think of, different angles, and it's not the same maybe in Europe, but they're just as passionate and just as crazy, I think.
Can you leave us with a message of any youngster that will watch this of what they can look forward to down the road if they want to have any chance of being a professional athlete?
Work. That's the one thing that most people don't do now is put in work in the craft. If you want to be a professional athlete, here's what I tell most of my people I work with, clients, anything. Hey, you want to be a professional athlete? How much time do you spend on social media? Whatever that number is, you should be doubling it on your craft. And 9 times out of 10, that tells me whether you're really interested or not. Most of them love their phones. You want to be addicted to this? Are you addicted to playing your sport? If you aren't, chances are there's a kid in Israel, there's a kid in Italy, there's a kid somewhere else who doesn't have the same privileges as you and will take your money and your spot. So it all depends on you. I just believe if you want that and you're really passionate about it, put in the work. The work always separates the difference between the two. You think it's not people that was better than Michael Jordan? You think it's not people that could dribble or play better than Kobe Bryant, but they could not work them? So that's my message for anybody. If that's what you want, if you really want it and you're really about it, okay, especially if you're younger, look at how much social media you use, and you should be doubling that and working on your craft.
Thank you very much, brother. I do appreciate your time.